Let's bring you this story, though. South Africa will be signing a global declaration to end modern-day slavery on Tuesday. The term modern-day slavery refers to human trafficking, child labor and forced child marriages. The initiative was started in 2014 after Pope Francis called for the eradication of such slavery. For more on this, I'm joined by Franca Pellegrini, who's the director of the Global Freedom Network. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Franca. And maybe let's start by painting a broad picture of how bad modern slavery is.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. Look, modern slavery is not only in South Africa but all over the world. Obviously an epidemic, and that's why here at Walk Free and Global Freedom Network we focus on the acceleration of trying to work with not only faith leaders but across government and business as well to work on this issue.
No, absolutely. And talk us through the signing of this particular declaration and what you're hoping it will achieve in the long run, because this is obviously not something that can be changed in a short period of time.
Yeah, exactly, correct. So with the declaration, like you mentioned, it was started in 2014, signed by His Holiness Pope Francis and all other major denominations. Since then, we've had 10 signings all over the world. This is a very symbolic event that brings awareness around the issue. And then also from that, then about how we work with these faith leaders moving forward, and then how we connect them with the other faith leaders from the other signings as well, and what they can do in their communities and also what they can do with their networks, because they have incredible networks which we try and tap into and try to leverage those networks.
No, absolutely. And I found it very interesting that you were going with faith-based leaders. But are you hoping that there are other partnerships that can be established? Is there a role for governments to play alongside these faith-based leaders as they shine a light on this epidemic, as you've rightly referred to it?
Yeah, I think faith leaders can work from ground up. So, you know, whether that means they work in their local communities right through to having meetings with those ministers, etc., to try and work out whether they try and enforce the act that they've got in country, like there's one here in South Africa. We kind of give them some ideas of, you know, whether it's their communities, if it's in their governments, or working with larger businesses in their countries. So, you know, there's a range of ways that they can try and tackle this issue.
Yeah. So tell us about that event that's going to be taking place on the 15th. I do understand that proceedings will be taking place at the Women's Jail.
That's correct. We chose the Constitution Hill just because of its symbolic, you know, its significance in this area. And, you know, we're really glad to be holding it there. As well as a signing, we've actually got a round table with these senior faith leaders, and so that we can work out how we work forward with them moving forward. And again, like I said, giving them ideas of what they can do and helping guide them in this as well.
No, absolutely. And I'm just thinking, as you're talking, a big issue around modern-day slavery is our policing systems being inefficient at the best of times, and then at the rest of the time, just really leaving people quite literally in the dark when it comes to making sure that they're protected against such atrocious acts.
Yes, it is. And I think you'll get very overwhelmed if you look at it, because it's a very complex issue, modern slavery, you know, and it's driven by, you know, things such as vulnerability, poverty, climate change. It intersects with these things, but it's about starting somewhere. So not looking at the overarching issue. So with faith leaders, they can start, you know, whether they talk about migration inside their country, or whether they can educate and you know, talk about maybe bring awareness on one of the trafficking days, for example. So it's about starting somewhere and then building from there.
Right. Now, you've spoken about the signing of the declaration, the roundtable that will be held, but there's also the launch of the Faith for Freedom app. How exactly is this app going to work?
So this app was launched last year in Accra, Ghana, and this idea was really born out of a trip when I first went to West Africa a few years ago, and realising that some faith leaders knew about modern slavery and then some didn't know much. So really we thought, what's a platform that we could use that could then be pushed out within communities. So it's dedicated to faith leaders. It teaches them about modern slavery, what are the definitions that sit under that, and then what they can do to help. So we've built some resources in there. There's prayers by every major denomination. There's also video in there teaching faith leaders how to talk about this human rights issue, why they're to talk about it. And then also there's referral pathways, so whether there's hotlines, shelters, etc., because we never expect faith leaders to be experts in this space. So if they feel like they need some extra assistance, they've got phone numbers there to call and get that guidance.
Yeah, Franca Pellegrini, thank you so much for joining us now. She's from the Global Freedom Network, talking us through modern-day slavery and initiatives like the one we've just been discussing, established to help end the scourge. Not end it, I suppose you can't do that in a short period of time, but definitely shine some light and make sure that something is done about it.